She walked for 30 relentless years. But her walk was not for fame, not for fortune, but for an unwavering belief in peace. This is the incredible story of Peace Pilgrim, a woman who transformed her life into a remarkable mission of spreading peace across America for nearly 30 years. Curious? Ready to follow her footsteps? Let's dive into the unbelievable journey of an ordinary woman who went on to become a truly extraordinary individual by giving herself entirely to her cause of peace. Mildred Norman was no different from any of us. An ordinary woman who lived a typical life in America until her 40s. But then she made a life altering decision that would set her apart forever. She chose simplicity and began an extraordinary journey, walking coast to coast across the United States, spreading the profound message of peace. With her new identity, she not only gave up her worldly possessions, but also her name, and insisted on being simply addressed as Peace Pilgrim. She donned a humble blue tunic inscribed with her mission of peace, carrying nothing but a comb and a toothbrush. And for the rest of her life of nearly 30 years, she walked her self designated pilgrimage across forests and cities, touching countless lives with her love and wisdom, inspiring others to seek inner peace and non-violence. If this transformation wasn't remarkable enough, consider this. She chose not to eat unless someone offered her food and sought no shelter unless it was willingly provided. Walking more than 25,000 miles, she eventually stopped counting, but never stopped walking for peace. Her philosophy was simple, yet deeply transformative. Meet hatred with love, falsehood with truth, and evil with good. She firmly believed that inner peace was the key to creating a peaceful world. But with all great adventures, it had its trials and tribulations. During the early years of her pilgrimage, Peace Pilgrim and her family were harassed by the FBI, who suspected her of being a communist due to her peaceful activism. But instead of stopping her, this only spurred her to carry forward her message of peace. On another occasion, as she walked through a town, Peace Pilgrim was briefly detained in prison because she had no identification and carried no money. Rather than being upset, she viewed her time in jail as an opportunity to share her message of peace with her cellmates. She even humorously remarked later that her audience couldn't leave, so she made the most out of it. She relied entirely on the kindness of strangers or foraged for food in nature. On one occasion, when she was offered a meal by someone who jokingly asked, "What if I had poisoned your food?" Without hesitation, Peace Pilgrim replied, "Then I would die with a smile on my face, knowing I had trusted someone." Her response not only disarmed the person, but highlighted her deep trust in the goodness of people. In another incident, Someone bought her a cup of coffee and then struck up a conversation and half seriously asked her, "What's so great about walking all the time?" Without missing a beat, Peace replied, "I get to meet wonderful people like you." Her cheerful answer left that man grinning, and it epitomized her ability to connect deeply with people from all walks of life. Once, Peace encountered a group of teenagers who were skeptical of her message. One young rebel teased her and asked, "How can someone with no money, no home, think they can change the world?" Instead of getting defensive, Peace smiled and said, "By showing that it's possible to live on love, even without material things." Her calm demeanor and sincerity struck a chord, and the group grew curious and ended up becoming her friends. As Peace Pilgrim became more well known, people often approached her and began to unburden themselves to her. At a small bakery, Peace Pilgrim once had a conversation with the owner, who was frustrated by the increasing competition in his town. Peace quietly listened and then encouraged him to focus on putting love and care into every loaf of bread, explaining that people would feel the difference. Inspired, he began adding handwritten messages of gratitude into his packages, which eventually became a cherished tradition amongst his customers. Once, Peace Pilgrim stopped to talk to a farmer who seemed burdened by sorrow. As they conversed, she listened deeply to his struggles and offered words of encouragement about finding peace within himself. The farmer later admitted that her visit felt like a ray of light in his otherwise heavy life, and he resolved to focus on gratitude and simplicity, inspired by her message. The journey of Peace Pilgrim is undeniably awe inspiring, but it raises a compelling question. Can we, in our fast paced lives, ever hope to embrace such profound peace? Must we relinquish everything to find it? Or is there another way for those of us navigating this modern, unconventional world? Well, let's explore a handful of lessons in the words of Peace Pilgrim herself and see how we can adapt it to our lives without giving up our livelihoods. Lesson number 1: relinquishment of all negative feelings. Peace said, "Work on relinquishing negative feelings. If you live in the present moment, which is really the only moment you have to live, you will be less apt to worry. If you realize that those who do mean things are psychologically ill, your feelings of anger will turn to feelings of pity. If you recognize that all of your inner hurts were caused by your own wrong actions or your own wrong reactions or your own wrong inactions, then you will stop hurting yourself." This beautiful lesson has a very practical baby step that you and I can implement. We can dedicate 10 to 15 minutes every day for mindfulness practices. These need not be anything more than just an intense focus on taking slow, deep breaths for as long as you can. Break this 10 to 15 minutes across your day. But each time, give yourself the permission to push as much as you can and then end it with a smile. Always thank yourself for being present and for trying. These moments of gratitude will cultivate a calm and clarity within yourself. Relinquishment of attachments is the second lesson. Peace said, only when you have relinquished all attachments can you be really free. Material things are here for use, and anything you cannot relinquish when it has outlived its usefulness possesses you. You can only live in harmony with your fellow humans if you have no feeling that you possess them, and therefore do not try to run their lives. Wants and needs can become the same in human life, and when this is accomplished, there will be a sense of harmony between the inner and the outer well being. Such harmony is needful not only in the individual life but also in the collective life. Practical application of this lesson can be a very simple approach of decluttering your space. Adopt the rule of one in, one out. For every item you bring into your life, let go of something old or unused. Lesson number 3, relinquishment of self-will. You have, or it's as though you have, two selves. The lower self that usually governs you selfishly, and the higher self which stands ready to use you gloriously. You must subordinate the lower self by refraining from doing the not good things you are motivated towards, not by suppressing them, but by transforming them so that the higher self can take over your life. An extremely practical tip on how to implement this would be the art of patience. When faced with criticism, anger, or any negative emotion, pause before reacting. Do not feel obligated to respond immediately. Put as much distance as you possibly can by either walking away and remaining silent or responding with a brief statement such as, "I never expected that from you." This buys you and the other person enough time to perhaps retract words of harshness, or just gives you enough time to see the other person's perspective. Lesson number 4. Find your place in the life's pattern. Peace said, you have a pattern in the scheme of things. What that pattern is, you can know only from within yourself. You can seek it in receptive silence. You can begin to live in accordance with it by doing all the good things you are motivated towards and giving these things priority in your life over all the superficial and customary things. A practical tip would be to keep a journal about the times when challenges turned out to be blessings in disguise for you. This will strengthen your trust in life's pattern. Purification of motives is the lesson number 6. Peace said, your motive should never be greed, self-seeking, or the wish for self-glorification. You shouldn't even have the selfish motive of attaining inner peace for yourself. To be of service to fellow humans must be your motive before life can come into harmony. Now, a practical tip for this lesson would be to identify your top 3 values. For example, if your top three values are honesty, compassion, and growth, ask yourself every day, did my actions align with my values? Peace Pilgrim walked 25,000 miles over decades, proving the power of persistence. But it all began with a single step and then piled up. Similarly, breaking bad habits isn't easy and will always have setbacks. So break bigger goals into smaller, manageable steps. Acknowledge and accept the failures, but celebrate each small milestone to stay motivated. Changing the world always begins with changing yourself. Reflect on habits or attitudes you wish to improve. Begin with one small change, such as practicing patience or reducing judgment. As we wrap up this journey through Peace Pilgrim's teachings, let me tell you one more story from her life. During one of her walks, Peace Pilgrim encountered a huge puddle covering the road. Instead of walking around it, she paused and walked straight through it. A bystander watching her asked her why she did not go and pick the dry path nearby. Peace laughed and said, "Life isn't about avoiding puddles, it's about learning to enjoy splashing through them." This simple act carried a powerful metaphor about embracing challenges. All right, we have come to the end of another diary entry. Stay inspired and let's embrace the pursuit of peace by transforming ourselves one thoughtful step at a time. And let me leave you with one more timeless wisdom from Peace Pilgrim, which you can begin implementing right this moment. Peace said, "If you realized how powerful your thoughts are, you would never think a negative one."